Mason, one of the things that came up in our planning meeting as we talked about, hey, what are we going to do today, was that one of the things that we're witnessing is that those of us in the ex-smoke community in that space, we're actually engaging in the same exact toxic behaviors that we're calling our TBM Mormon counterparts out for. We're doing the same thing back at them, but we feel justified because we know it's not true. So they're doing it under the justification of this is the true church. And now we are doing the same thing back to them under the justification that, no, you're not the true church and we actually have the truth now. So therefore it makes it okay. And really at the end of the day, y'all, it's toxic as shit. So let's address the tendencies and the patterns and kind of, I hate to say it, but like be the bigger person. It's not about being the bigger person. It's more about being more emotionally aware and maybe even more evolved. Let's move past these toxic behavioral patterns and into something healthier that also brings us more joy. Like, let's protect our joy and not engage in this bullshit.
I think for me, that's really what it's about, whether or not when I think of the word toxic, I think of poison, and it is very hard for me to live in a healthy way if I'm constantly allowing poison into my life. Again, sometimes you can't avoid it, but a lot of times we can. And if we learn to recognize that that's what's going on, we can step back, call it being the bigger person if you want. But for me, it's really about being a healthy person and not even a healthier person, just being a healthy person. I want to be healthy in my life. How do I manage these triggers? How do I make comments in such a way that it still allows me to have a voice, but doesn't bring extra toxicity into my life? And sometimes I do a good job of that, and sometimes I don't do a very good job of that.
Right, absolutely.
So I'm that's why we're here, is to learn how to manage these in a way that is healthy and authentic to us.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you brought up the poison analogy. I love that you utilized that because, number one, it gave me a squirrel moment to the dentist, I believe in Utah, that poisoned his wife.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like total squirrel. Was reading again in my social media time, which I think I'm spending too much time on social media in a non-productive way. But apparently he was also the bishop at the time who poisoned his wife. That might be something that our listeners want to talk about. So squirrel, hopefully that's a productive squirrel and we'll come back to it. But also, if you think about it, if I'm ingesting or utilizing some sort of poison, I don't feel good.
Right.
And so at its very basic, what we're going to be doing is talking about digging into our physiology a little bit. When we engage in this type of toxicity, we don't feel good. We might feel justified. We might feel revenge. We might feel, kind of like that. I want to say what's one way that Sarah knows that she's triggered and responding in her, survival brain, that amygdala, that fight, flight, freeze, fawn response? What is one thing that Sarah knows, or one of my tells that I'm in that triggered space, is when I type out a response and when I hit send, I'm like, ha, yeah. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, take that. Yeah, I'm responding from my survival mechanisms. I've been triggered. Is this what I want to do? Is this how I want to present myself? And how does that make me feel? Yeah, that take that might feel good temporarily, kind of like a drug. I might feel good for a little bit, but in the end, did it serve my purpose? Did it help me be who I want to be? What was the productivity of that? And then I really get to kind of dig in and be curious about myself.